All right, for some reason, YouTube keeps recommending to me Motherhood in Progress videos for no reason, and I saw you guys put it into the chat, so I'm not the only person who's getting these unwanted recommendations for videos that I have no interest in, right? But while I was scrolling on the right side looking for something to talk about this morning, I came across this video. And the primary focus of that video is like, no one says hi anymore. And I was picking up someone from the airport maybe a month or two ago. And after I picked her up, we drove around to like the grocery store, a fast food restaurant. I think we went to the thrift store. We went to like a few different places, at least three or four different places afterwards before I took her home. And everywhere we went, she kept saying hi, hello to everyone that she saw. And by the time I took her home, I pulled her aside and I said to her, "You need to stop doing this. People don't want to hear it. People don't care about your saying hi. There's no courtesy in public spaces anymore." And she just looked at me like, "I don't understand, millennials team. What do you mean?" And I had to explain to her, you said hello or hi or how's it going to every single person that you saw that was working in all of these places, and not a single person even looked in your general direction. You're making a scene by saying hello to people because they don't care. And I was at Kroger's on Wednesday and I was talking to cute cashier number two at the customer service desk. And there were people screaming at customers. And she was looking at me like, why is this happening? Like, the look on her face was, I don't understand why people are yelling obscenities at each other inside the store, people that don't even know each other. And she's just like, I looked at her and I'm like, you're too sweet to be exposed to this environment of toxic people. And when I go hiking, I see this as well. Like, I see this in people's faces when I'm on the trail. Like, in a few minutes, I'm gonna go out to South Mountain to hike up and down. I'm gonna go up the fire road and then I'm gonna come back on Pima Wash. Just to have something to do. So, and while you're out there hiking around, right? It's like 40 degrees outside right now, but it's still during the week, which I like. I only like hiking on these really popular trails during the week because it is a pain in the rear to be out hiking when everyone has the time off, because it's like going to Disneyland. Honestly, the last time I was on the Mormon Loop, I was walking up. I parked my car on the 24th Street and Baseline um, parking spot, and I mean it was like there was maybe 3 to 5 feet between each person hiking on the trail, and it was. And when people are rude to one another, being that close to another person hiking is really hard because it's just like, I don't know how to put it. It's like we've become a very different society. We've become so disconnected since the pandemic. And there's something about, in my memories during the pandemic, there's just this one very profound memory. I walked over to the park across the street from my house, and they had caution tape wrapped around all of the playground toys. Like, the whole playground was wrapped around in yellow tape. And you could look left, you could look right, and there was no one out there. It's like the whole world went inside. And I think that once we went inside, we were never going to come back and be the same. So nobody says hi anymore. To me, that's the moment that it represents when people stopped caring, when people stopped saying hello. But as a person who's been alone my whole life, right? Socially alone, I I realized that early on that our personal preference for the people that we want really makes us prejudiced towards strangers, just to common courtesy to strangers. If you're not within our our social circle, you're not even human. And that's something that I've had to come to terms with over the years, especially as much time as I spent at university, where university is a place that's not normal, right? Everyone's young, everyone's still full of hope towards a bright future. They haven't realized that once they leave the university and they go into the working world, that this area, this place, doesn't represent society. Out there, there's the cruelty, there's the sadistic management, there's the cruel corporations. There's nothing good out there once you leave the safety of the university and your parents' house. And I think that if you come back to this very small phrase, why nobody says hi anymore, it's because we go out into the work world and we realize how cruel it is. And then we turn inside. We stop caring. We don't make eye contact. You don't talk. And if you're Gen Zero, you don't want to talk on the phone for work. You don't want to work a 40-hour work week. You don't want to do anything that's normal. You're a snowflake. You want the whole world to be accepting of you while at the same time not accepting them. Because as I've had numerous Gen Zeros working for me over the past few years, I've noticed this pattern in every one of them. They're very antisocial. They want to text, and that's it. They don't want to interact with the outside world because that's just the way that they grew up. They're very antisocial, and we become antisocial as a community of humans. And humans were not designed to be antisocial. In fact, we are social creatures by our very nature, but we aren't anymore. And that's what I find truly disturbing is that we've turned on human nature. Instead of being social creatures, we're antisocial creatures. We've become people that see other people that need help and we don't help them. And I think that's what really bothers me is that we see massive need to help society and we're not going to do it. Like if you're poor right now and you need help, you might as well be invisible. And with that said, I'm going to end the monologue there and I'm going to get into my 2.5 talking points from this particular script. All right, here we go. Many workers, especially in customer facing roles, are overworked, underpaid, and emotionally drained, leading to less energy for pleasantries like saying hi. I used to know a cashier that worked at the Kroger's across the street from my current home. And he would walk up to me and he'd look at me and he's like, Millennial Steve, I said hello to that customer and they looked right through me as if I didn't exist. And I said to him, this is one of the reasons why I made that video yesterday on being an NPC. Because at that time, he said that people just didn't care. Like, because he was wearing that uniform, he had no rank in society. By putting on the retail uniform, you designate yourself as being an inanimate object, per se. And he would say hello to, I would say more than half of the people that he said hello to while he was working the self checkout would just look at him and pretend he wasn't there. And after so many times, like he kept saying it. And again, like I said about this person that I picked up at the airport, they don't want to give up. They think that as long as they keep being nice to people, that somehow it will turn around. And it's not. No matter how much you try to bring a little bit of pleasantries to the workplace, you don't. Like me and the management at my current job, there's no pleasantries. It's just you do your job, I do my job. Don't talk to me. You're never getting a raise. That's it. And once you get used to it, because I've gone through this with every single 5 different senior managers in 3 years, you just get used to it. That eventually people just they turn, and that's the way that they are. And I don't think it's about being overworked. I think it's just that emotionally drained human being that we're all so busy trying to figure out how we're going to survive that we just turn off pleasantries in our own lives. And I've seen this so many times. Like, even the cute cashiers, sometimes you just walk up to them and you say hello, and they just look at you like, why are you talking to me? Like, I don't have time for pleasantries. Like, I don't, they may not have anything to do while working at the self checkout, but they don't want to waste their time talking to customers. Like, they just don't want to do that. And in my defense, I would say that most of the people that I have met in my life that I end up talking to outside of work are people that I meet in retail jobs, right down to Mello. When I met her, she was working at the grocery store across the street from my house. She was a cashier. And every day on my way home from university, I would stop into that grocery store to pick up my dinner or lunch or breakfast for the next day. And I would run into her. And so, little by little, day after day, those 30-second or even 15-second interactions, they start building up a rapport. But I don't think people do that anymore. I honestly don't think that we bother to learn their names. I mean, they wear name tags for a reason, right? The name tag in customer service is designed to create artificial closeness between you and that person. I mean, we don't normally call people by their names. In fact, anytime I hear my name, it startles me because on the average day, no one says my name, which is really odd. And that's why it startles me is that on the average day of my entire life, I never hear my name. When we refer to people, even when we're close to them, we don't talk to each other with our names. Our names are reserved for very specific interactions. And the only place that I can think of where your name is used routinely is in a classroom where the teacher calls on you. But it may not even be that. She may just decide that she may just point at you and say, all right, you have your hand up, talk. But on the average day, my boss doesn't call me by my name. He's just like, grunt, do this or do that. We don't use our names because our names make us human. And if you're going to dehumanize someone, you remove the name. And I've noticed that throughout my entire life is that we very rarely use your name. In fact, I think that the only time that your parents use your name is when you're going to be punished for something. So and so, if they use your full name, is going to receive punishment for something that you did that you knew that you were going to get in trouble for doing, but you did it anyway. And that is that's where I'm going to end that section. So we're moving on to our second talking point here. With the growth of self checkout stations, AI customer service, and gig work, human interactions in everyday life is being replaced by machines. This shift not only reduces opportunities for connection, but also conditions us to see interactions as purely transitional. Transactional. Transactional. Purely transactional. I would say that a lot of the things that we do as human beings are purely transactional. And I'm going to start with the basics. Going to the bathroom is purely transactional. I go there, I sit down, I pour out my best load, or I stand there and fire my best load. I flip the little lever and it goes away. Same thing with human beings. You meet Susie Rottencrotch behind the Taco Bell, purely transactional. You give her the bump and dump, and you move on. You don't even have to communicate to her what your intentions are. When you show up behind the Taco Bell, Susie, like a good robot, simply bends over, spreads her legs slightly, pants fall down between the ankles, and you transitional, purely transitional into her as many times as you can. Pull your pants back up, uh, pat her on the head, and you move on. Work is the same thing. We show up, we sit down, purely transitional. We do our work, we get up, we pull our pants back up after Felice has gotten us, and we go home and we sit down and we wait and we come back to work the next morning, pull down our pants, Felice gets us. Boom, purely transitional. How this lack of human connection contributes to a broader sense of isolation and detachment in society. I believe we are a detached society. I live in complete social isolation. Since I've been home on alleged vacation, I have not had, I don't think, a real single interaction with another human being. Like, purely just sitting here in the dark. I mean, you guys saw me pump out 5 videos yesterday in one day. Typically, if I pumped out that many videos, those would have been 5 videos that I made for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That will go up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They were full length videos. And the reason for that is simple. I'm completely isolated. I have nothing to do. And as I think about going up to the trailhead in a few minutes, I got to take a shower, got to shave, got to get ready. Something's going on in my stomach right now. Like, I made pasta this morning for breakfast, and my stomach just isn't feeling it. Like, it's turning and turning and turning in there. So I think I'm gonna have to throw it out. Anyhow, this detachment, I'm not certain how we resolve the detachment, because I think going forward in human history, we are going to become an extremely detached society. Like right now, and I've been saying this for years, is that isolation and loneliness is probably one of the most uh, terrible things for mental health, for the mental health crisis in America right now that we have. Because being a detached society means you don't know your neighbors, you don't interact with people at work for any other purpose than work related purposes. We don't talk to our neighbors. We don't talk to the people in the grocery store. We don't talk to anyone. It's like we just decided that we were going to shut off that part of our human nature and just live as isolated creatures, and then wonder why our mental health is so terrible. I'll tell you why it's so terrible. Because we don't do anything in order to change things. I mean, there's a fundamental reset that needs to happen in society, and this is one of the major factors why I think that reset is absolutely necessary. Is that we need to reset human nature. We need to stop being a detached society and stop being so darn lonely, because loneliness makes our lives miserable. And the more miserable we are, the easier it is to make certain that the conditioning, the domestication process that human beings have undergone over the last 1,000 years, that it's really taken effect. Is that being isolated and being detached is the ultimate control over a society that will not rise up against it, because we just see it as normal. We've normalized being detached. And I think that's where I'm going to end the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I got to get ready to go hiking. I will be recording my hiking. You guys will be seeing my hiking in a future video, probably later today.